Hello, good day to you. It's Talkin really, and today's story, no surprise, and the claim is that the government have breached disabled people's rights at least minimum 17 times during the pandemic. The Story Disability News Service, we came out, and this is the headline. This is the headline. It was out on 23rd of July, and it is new research shows how the UK government have breached the rights at least a minimum 17 different ways during the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah. Is anybody surprised by that? No, of course not. Anyway, let's go on with the story. So we have from restricting their rights in an emergency coronavirus act to failing to ensure disabled people on direct payments have access to PPE and preventing shielding MPs from taking part in Commons debates. The research shows that repeated breaches of the Equality Act, the European Convention on Human Rights, and the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Some of the 17 breaches have cost many lives, particularly the delays in testing social care staff and the decision to discharge patients into care homes without testing them. DNS Disability News Service has compiled the list to highlight how the government have repeatedly failed to protect disabled people during this pandemic, to help push the government into launching an urgent inquiry, good luck with that, and try to persuade it to take a new approach before an expected second wave. Yeah, well, those two things not going to happen. Although half of the failings were eventually addressed, usually after responding to a campaigning of disabled people, often working alongside lawyers, others were not. There are also concerns that even those breaches of rights that were addressed could re-emerge. Today, 3 disabled people who played roles in exposing how the rights have been breached have spoken out to call for action after seeing the research. Mike Smith, who was a former commissioner of the EHRC and now is a chief executive of a disabled people's organisation in East London, said the government's pandemic strategy appears to be protect the majority rather than those most at risk. And he said that the list of breaches shows that disabled people are not a priority for the government. While some measures, such as the additional support for those shielding, were put into place, the list shows that there was not a joined-up approach to ensuring disabled people got the support and protection that they needed. The list indicated breaches of both the Equality Act and the human rights of disabled people. He said that he believed that some measures taken by the government amounted to indirect discrimination. Others showed a failure to make reasonable adjustments, and there were also apparent failures to meet the government public sector equality duty. And he said that there were repeated failure to maintain disabled people's human rights. This is why disabled people have joined together with others to call for a judge-led public inquiry to consider lessons that can be learnt from the government's handling of the crisis. He called on the EHRC to use its own regulatory powers to establish a formal inquiry into how the government may have failed to comply with its duties. under the Equality Act. I can think of no more pressing need than to intervene to save lives of potentially thousands more disabled people. The 17 examples of discrimination, exclusion, disregard and abject failure to comply with the most basic of reasonable adjustments reveal just how deep, systemic and structural marginalisation is. At every opportunity in this pandemic, the government appears to have chosen to act against disabled people rather than with us, removing rather than strengthening our rights and protections, denying us information rather than making it accessible, preventing us accessing support rather than helping us get it, and treating us at best as an afterthought rather than an important community to engage with and listen to. The magnitude of deaths amounts to a violation of the state's obligation to protect the right to life under Article 2 of the ECHR. Bear in mind that there was a meme going around that 38,000 people have died of COVID. So the number of deaths have been 22,500, and these are all people with disabilities. DNS asked the Cabinet Office and the DWP to comment on why there have been so many examples of discrimination and abuse during the pandemic. It also asked what this showed about the government attitude to disabled people and what action it could take to ensure that there was no repeat of these failings. Both departments refused to comment. A DWP spokesman said, "Thanks for sending this through to both departments and for the opportunity to comment. We do not have anything further to add in response to your questions." I noticed some of your questions were in the remit of DHSC, which is Department of Health and Social Care, who I have spoken to separately, and they have the same position as us at this time. So here is a list of the 17 breaches that have been recognised as detrimental during this pandemic. So we have various, so quite a lot there, and of course it will continue to carry on like this because the Tories don't give a flying, and even though they will go on and say, "Oh, we've done really well, we've done this, we've done that," yeah, we all know what they're like. Right, that is the story. I hope you enjoyed it, and of course, don't forget and subscribe. Catch you later. Bye for now.